everybody. Don't want to step on me. Welcome, and thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Katie Jackson Richter, and I'm the Vice President and Chief Operating Officer of Cuneo Advertising. Cuneo Advertising is a full-service ad agency. I'll talk a little bit more about who we are, but I'd like to start by introducing who I am. First of all, I'm a mom. I've got 2 little girls. I've got a great husband. I've been married for about 15 years. And why is that important? Because I carry that into the life of what I do for a living. So, who am I? Where did I come from? Prior to joining Cuneo Advertising nearly 14 years ago, I was in sales and sales management with local media companies. Over the last nearly 14 years, I started my career at Cuneo Advertising on the account side, grew into the digital development arena, continued to grow within the organization. 5 years ago, I was very fortunate to be awarded Vice President of our organization. About 18 months ago, I had earned the title of Vice President and Chief Operating Officer. That journey is really important because what it has done is really allowed me and our team to grow together. And we're going to talk a lot about today how we as an organization, 42-year-old organization, has developed into a team today of 65% women, sometimes a little bit more, and we work in the automotive business. So who are we? As I said, we've been around for 42 years. When I started 14 years ago, there was about 20 of us. And I was the only woman in a role that was not a typical female role. There were women in media buying, there were women in finance, but it wasn't like leading finance. We're talking finance assistants. I was on the account team. Even the account coordinators were men. And I walked into client meetings with car dealers, and once again, I was the only woman in the room. 90% of our business is in Tier 2 and Tier 3 automotive. As we all know, once again, very male-dominant. In the last decade, we have tripled in growth. And what's really interesting, when I started, as I said 14 years ago when there was 20 of us, very small percent of women. Today, there's nearly 70 of us. And 65% of those team members, as I said, are women. I think that's significant. Growth and success driven by women in the workplace. Why is 65% female workforce significant? Well, as we all know, we're underrepresented in the organization of this industry at about 16%. Only 1 in 5 of dealership personnel are actually women. I don't know how many of you guys work in dealerships in the room? Vendors, okay. I don't know about you, but I don't know how many times I walked into a boardroom and there's 30 men sitting around in a room and it's just me. Or there's a really nice gal taking the notes. Here's what gets things really interesting for an ad agency. Over half of new car buyers, as we heard again this morning from the Cars.com gal, which I thought she was phenomenal. 85% of car buying decisions include or are made by women. How interesting is that? Almost all the ads that are created, the messages and how they are delivering by men, telling women how to buy cars. When I was listening to, I'm kind of going off script because of what we just walked out of from the Cars.com presentation. But it was really interesting hearing about the influence and the decision-making process of women in the car buying experience. And as we work in Tier 2 and Tier 3 automotive, how much of that money is spent on sports? How much of that money is spent motivating men to buy cars? And the ads and the priorities aren't aligned with the messaging. Our organization is able to craft messaging designed for real car buyers and the car buying experience they expect. What we ultimately believe is a well-balanced workforce. I have a prop. To be a healthy, growing automotive agency, we must be as diverse as possible, and that really comes from the top down. So let's talk about the top. So we're a 42-year-old company. Where's the founder? He is happily spending his time in Florida. He is now an investor, but his vision is still very strong in our organization. We have a president of our company, because I'm the COO. There's a president and the CFO of our organization. His name is Daryl Schmidt. He's not here today. I really wish he was. But I brought a part of him. I'll actually not. See the shirt? For those of you who can't read it, it says, "Here's to strong women. May we know them. May we be them. May we raise them." This was a gift that Daryl Schmidt gave me on my 40th birthday a little bit ago. So how did we grow as an organization to be 65% women? Starts from the top. They have to believe. They have to see the value. And the value is there. Because as I said, we've grown so much, we're making a lot more money. There's a good return on investment there. As we said, everything we do will resonate more clearly with the true automotive shopping community because of how we have built our organization. I'm going to talk a little bit about that untapped talent pool of women. I don't know how many of you are moms in the room. Can I see everybody's hands? How many of you struggled with that decision? Are you going to go back to work or are you going to stay home? Some of us took some time. I never did. I don't have enough sit in me. I don't have enough of that. But I'm jealous of it because I really miss it. I wish I would have taken more time. But what's interesting is we have a team member in our organization that talk a lot about the women who I work with. I have a woman in the organization who took 10, 12 years off. She'd go back in and out of the workforce. And she joined us after spending about a year back in the workforce. She's an incredible leader of our organization today. She nurtures and she grows client relationships, and she had the ability to take time off and spend time growing her family. There are so many women who we have represent our organization who came from car dealership world. Katie right up here in the front joined us about 9 months ago. Hate to say it this way, she's a BBC badass. And now she's really joining us and growing in that marketing arena. We believe that women can successfully compete and excel in the automotive category. We're going to talk a lot about the different tactics and the different investments that we make as an organization to really prepare our team for that success. But I want to tell you, to start this entire piece off, we never sought to grow our business this way. Nobody sat in a room and said, we're going to hire a bunch of women. It just happened because we executed a solid business plan of growth, and the reward was what we're talking about today. Steps to the path. Recruiting and attracting female talent. I don't know how many times I am in meetings with dealers that we represent, and they ask, how in the world have you built the talent of women that you have today? And how can I do that? I should just carry the shirt around. But it really does start with a family-first organization. And I think it's really easy to say family first. And in a lot of organizations, family first equals women get special consideration so they can leave early and adjust their schedules to be moms too. What happens when you make special circumstances for one group of people and not the other? Resentment. It's really hard. They talk bad. They get frustrated. So why should we only give the women in our organization the opportunity to be great families? And I think as an organization, you have to understand you are delusional if you believe for a second that family first is not in the minds of every single person in your organization. When I introduce myself, I always start by saying I'm a wife and a mother. Because this job that I do, that I love so deeply, it's for them. It's for me. The company must support what I'm doing at home. So whether you're a man or a woman in our organization, family's always first. We provide a level playing field. We do not wage disparaging behavior in our organization. You get paid for the job that you do, no matter what. We create real opportunities for women to grow their careers. We take the time to invest, provide the training and the resources, both in a technical aspect and in many times professional development, coaching and learning and sharing. Sometimes a one-on-one session isn't about teaching a new trick or technology or application of something. Sometimes it's just, how are you? How are you doing? It's okay to ask how home is. Because I don't know if anybody in this room has gone home and complained about their job. You don't have to raise hands, we've all done it. What happens when we complain too much? Our husbands or spouses or significant others want to support us. And we lose the support system as a company at home because we're not investing in making sure we understand how people feel about their careers. I always say, you lose the support system, you lose the team member. These are all very powerful recruitment tools, retention tools. But one of our most powerful recruitment tools has really been about growing people from the ground up. We enlisted the agency assistant program a few years ago, and we have all of these qualified young people right out of school saying, we're going to learn about Cuneo advertising. They get to kind of try out all the different departments, whether that be digital and technology or media buying, account services, creative, all of these different areas, and they get to learn where their strengths lie. And as we've grown, we have given people opportunities to grow within. Some of our most talented team members have developed from those entry-level opportunities. Megan, I wish Megan was here today. She's incredible. She started as an agency assistant 4 years ago, went into account coordinator, an agency account executive, account supervisor, and now she's working on our agency planning and technology team and launching new clients. She's in the middle of launching a 19 rooftop store group as we speak, because she's that good, and she knows our way. But she has a career path to grow. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that. When we talk about training and equipping women, one of the things I've learned of the most successful rate of working with women, being a woman myself, I really want to know the whys. Why are we doing what we're doing? So our goals for all client-facing roles, there's a difference between client-facing roles and internal. So I think it's a little easier for internal roles to explain the whys, but when you're client-facing, you have all of those internal experiences of working face-to-face in a male-dominated industry. We really have to prepare our team members for the why. We need our team members to feel when they are walking in that room of 2 men, 5 men, 10 men, whatever it is that they're impacting, that they are equipped, both technically, experienced, and emotionally, on how to feel empowered. Because it goes down to first and foremost, KYS, know your stuff. And if we as an organization do not invest resources into our team, if we expect every woman and man in our organization to know everything, we're failing them. But they have to know how to interpret and execute and communicate effectively. Comprehensive training, the right tools, support, supervision. I think there's nothing more powerful than a one-on-one. A lot of people show up for a one-on-one and expect the manager just to conduct it. As women, we need to walk into every situation, whether it's a one-on-one or a client meeting, and we have to know what we want to accomplish from that conversation. Don't give the power to a supervisor to define your career. No matter how simple a weekly one-on-one or an annual review, a negotiation for a new job, prepare yourself to say, what do I want to walk out of this meeting with? What emotion do I want to give that person? How do I want them to feel about me? You're in control of that. And in our organization, we really believe in that. So we don't just walk into meetings and say, here's what my goals for this conversation are. Always start with, What do you want to accomplish? Where's your list? Everybody in my organization knows I go bananas when somebody walks into a meeting with an empty piece of paper. Winging meetings do not empower us as people. The right training builds competency and confidence. Because at the end of the day, if we're confident, we know we're supported, we want to invest, and we will be competent. We will be efficient. We will execute effectively. And of course, at the end of the day, it's credibility. And as I said earlier, I've not walked into a single dealer meeting. We walked into a brand new client group when I talked about mega launching. A brand new group. We had one man out of a team of 6 walk into dealership after dealership after dealership. And at least half of them, if not more, said, where'd you find all these women? They're so smart. And I went, seriously, somebody said that, I go, were you shocked we were smart? No, I'm just, backpedal a little bit, sweetie. We all know what it's talking about. So, career advancement. I could go on and on about every single team member within our organization, both men and women. I'm going to pick on 2 today. We have Clarissa Tertian, who is our project management director, and the lady up here in the front who just loves being talked about publicly, Christy Irwin. Christy is our director of integrated media and technology. Because she's here, I'm going to start with her. Because I think what it does is it gives you a really good insight on how we have done what we have done as an organization. Christy joined our company 10 years ago as a media coordinator. She trafficked TV spots and radio spots and reconciled invoices. She made sure money was spent wisely and reconciled appropriately, made sure our co-op was taken care of to make sure our clients didn't lose money. We lost her. She left because we didn't give her career advancement. She went and sold radio. That's what I did back in the day. I think it was a good move. Because she learned about how people think. She learned what motivated business owners. And we were smart and kept in touch with her and brought her home. We call those boomerang employees. Christy came back as a media buyer. And she got really curious and started asking all kinds of questions on what's happening in the digital space. She started looking at reporting and asking why a lot. All of a sudden, what happened? Christy quit again. Why did Christy quit again? Because we didn't give her the career advancement that she desired, because we weren't asking her enough what she wanted. Her boss at the time was actually wanting to promote her, not to the job Christy wanted. So I asked Christy to stay, and I gave her an opportunity to be our planning supervisor. So she got to consume all kinds of data. She gets really excited when she talks about data. She got to build dashboards. She got to bring to life so many of the tools that we use today. And that great gal Megan that I talked about was her second hire on her team. Today, we integrated our digital and our media departments under one into integrated media and technology. Who leads it? Christy. So I hope what you take from that, it's not that we did everything right. We failed Christy multiple times along the way. Christy drove her career path. Christy made that happen. She didn't wait for anybody to do it for her. Clarissa Tertian, she started as our agency project management supervisor about 6.5 years ago. And she has, over the years, nobody asked Clarissa to do what she's done. She's created our entire project management infrastructure. She has multiple people working with her. She has created every system and process that has allowed our organization to grow effectively. When she sees something wrong, she doesn't ask any questions. Can I do that? She starts asking questions on how to fix it. She has taken control of her career, and she's made it mutually beneficial. So we have an old saying in the company, Larry Cuneo Advertising, the guy who founded us. I was taught about a lesson by him about 14 years ago. I had this crazy idea to do something called paid search by Google. And I said, I think we should do this. And he goes, well, who's going to do it? I said, well, we don't have anybody, so I'll do it myself. And he goes, well, how is this Larry favorable? And I said, well, if it works really well, we'll make more money doing it. And he goes, go ahead. So the Larry favorable environment still exists today, even under Daryl's and my leadership. And these two women, as well as this inventing woman with the BDC, are defining and creating who the future of Cuneo advertising is with this amazing power of women. So we actively cultivate female talent. As I said, we proactively invest in our female associates. You know, I hate to say when they show promise, but once again, who are those people who are standing out of the pack? Nina Leffler up here in front. She's been with us for 6 years. She started as an account executive, and she has continued to grow from an account executive to an account supervisor, to a senior account supervisor, and account director today. Did you have a question?
Yeah, how do you make it the men feel in your organization like they're not losing something?
I'm getting there, but yes, you know what, I'll just tackle it right now because I'm not good at this. I prefer an interactive environment. because it's never been the mission. I actually felt guilty building this curriculum, guys. How crazy is that? Because I didn't want the wonderful men in our organization to not feel that they're not valued or appreciated. We honestly didn't even know how many women we had working for us until we were sitting in a meeting one day and there wasn't a single dude around. And I said, how many women do we have? And Sam, project manager, office socializer, she goes, I'll find out. And we were all kind of stunned because it's not something we set out to do. And the guys in our organization, the men, they're busy as heck just like we are. And it's just all about an accountable and effective workforce together. And everything I'm talking about doing for women, we do for men too. And I'm maybe stealing my thunder for later on in the organization, but not only do we have a very strong female, very strong male environment, but we're also very well represented within the LGBTQ community. We just have an organization built on inclusion of all people, but it's about effectiveness. Because when you can really build those mutually beneficial relationships with your team members, nobody cares if you're a man or a woman, who you love, what color you are. They just want to work hard and be effective and go home and enjoy their families. Well, you know, I think we got through most of this. We really promote from within a lot. When you talk about finding outside talent, we love doing that. Katie came from the dealer side of the business, which is really important. Because as vendors, how many times has one of our clients ever asked us, have you ever sold a car? Has anybody been asked that question? I always say, I never have. Lauren in the back here, she's a vendor, a friend of our organization. She's sold cars. She's sold every kind of media. She sells technology. But sometimes, you know, she's a great resource for me to call because I've never sold a car in my life. I know the data that it takes to sell a car. But you really do hire from within, and that agency assistant program, as we're growing people, that really allows for inside promotion. For anybody who works in recruitment, knows that that promotion from within saves a lot of money. It makes you a lot of money because people get up to speed faster. People feel effective faster. When you bring people from outside, which we're so glad that we do, but it's hard for them because we have a system and process for everything. We have to teach, we have to learn, we have to guide. So those promotions from within are really efficient and very important. And once again, provide a culture that's positive, respectful, encouraging, supportive, sensitive. Sensitive is not a bad word. It doesn't make us weak. It means we're understanding how people feel. and we can create a culture and environment that supports people. So I've been speed dating through this because I started late. So when we're talking about results, we're not really on the screen talking about financial impact. But I will speak to the financial impact of what we have done together. But we're going to start with our balance and our workforce. Our leadership structure, director level and above, is 50%. That is an amazing balance. I'm happy with 50%. What's also unique about that balance is our entire workforce. We have the baby boomer generation very well represented, the Gen Xers, the millennials. We have a proper balance of workforce. And I think that's really important. As we speak to death, a lot of women. And the past 2 years, 40 of the promotions we have put together within our organization, 26 of those have been with women. Promotions at 40 seems like a really big number. Over the past 5 years, we went from 24 employees to 70. We have to have a lot of internal promotions because we're growing. We've had a lot of new team members come to the organization. I don't know how many of you have worked in a fast-growing company, but a lot of chaos happens. Nobody knows what your defined culture is. Because you can't just sit back and have big meetings because you don't have time to have culture meetings. You just have to be good people. You all have to know what you're working towards. You all have to be focused. Start talking about turnover. In this automotive business, we all know it's hard. It's not a warm and fuzzy business. It's about accountability, and sometimes there's harshness. Was anybody in here for the last presentation? Lots of reds. Lots of red personalities. It can create a lot of turnover. We've seen a lot of tears over the years. Not just the women. I've seen men lose it under the pressure of this industry. We have a well below industry average of turnover within our organization. You talk about that lost knowledge, cost of turnover is really critical, and it hurts. And then that obvious cost of replacement, recruiters, the tax it puts on your existing team members, your clients, all of those types of things. There's something very stable that we have created within an organization. And I really do believe that our mix of people is what has created that stabilization during rapid, intense growth. And it's okay to use the word intense, because sometimes it feels prickly, it feels a little scary, but it's also fun because you're all on the bus together. And when you see your colleague maybe step off the bus, or maybe she's running late for it, grab her, bring her on board. Don't want to take off without her. Agency health. By the way, we do have yoga. We have a healthy work culture. We do believe in that family first, work-life balance. When we do after-hours programs, we have this whole area in our building called the Collaboration Center. We're an ad agency, so yes, we have a ping pong table. We have a massage chair. We have bean bags. We have all kinds of fun stuff. And it's also part of our studio environment. And we have parties, we have celebrations, we have events, whether somebody's getting married, whether we want a new piece of business, just because we're ready to have a barbecue or an annual team meeting. We open that place up, we have a great time, and we always shut the office down kind of early because we know that we have team members who have to leave at 4 o'clock to go get their kids. And we don't want them to miss out. Because so much of the good old boys club back in the day was be all after hours drinking together, having fun together. Well, when we set up environments that exclude people who have those family commitments, they get left out. So we really acknowledge. And why do we acknowledge it? I have to leave early almost every day to meet the nanny or pick up the kids. And the days I don't leave early, my husband, who also has a demanding career, also has to, we have to take turns. I live it, I breathe it, I know it. We have been able to lower the stress levels, and we haven't been able to eliminate it, we never will, but just lowering that pressure that it takes and taking away the expectation of the organization to ever think you're gonna choose the job over the family. Let's get real. When you take the fear out of the employee conversation, and they can come to you and say, I know I'm supposed to fly out today, but my kid needs me, I'm staying home. It's a real story. We did it. Got it, not a problem, go take care of your kid. When a young man whose grandma was dying, he was nervous about asking for time off. Go be with your grandma. It eliminates the fear and the stress that we have within our job. That is not to be confused with the work still has to get done. And we just gotta figure out how to get it done. That creates more satisfied employees, longevity, we talked about the turnover, and what's good for women is good. Our male counterparts who enjoy that same flexibility and benefit of that family first. So start with the men in your life, in the organization, and the clients. Have a genuine commitment for change. And it could just be simple stuff. But if you're sitting in a room with your team members and the guy's idea of creating a female inclusive environment is some feminine hygiene products in the bathroom, I'd ask some more questions. I sat in a meeting at a conference, and that was a suggestion on what it takes. It's way more than that. When you look at the owner of our organization, it's really the top down, the president. Our president of our organization will be seen at a women's rally with signs with his wife and daughter. You can't fake it, live it. Walk the walk. Are you creating path for success for your associates? I just look at my own perspective. Take a good look in the mirror, and if you're leading your organization and you want more enlightened individuals in your company, are you setting the right example? Modernize your approach. Sometimes, we adapted a flexible schedule environment. You can choose 7 to 4, 8 to 5, 9 to 6. What works best for your family? When it's a snow day, stay home with your kids. Check in, keep business moving. If your kid's sick, it's okay. You just, when the kid's sleeping or when you have, just make sure things keep moving. Be understanding that people have lives outside the office. It doesn't take much to win an employee for life because you care about what's going on outside of the walls of your organization. And just wait until 8:30 at night, the emails explode. Kids are in bed. Because the reality is, the cell phones of the world, your smartphones, people are always available. We have a modernized workforce that we still, as a culture, have not fully embraced. Both people and household work, like the family still has to operate. Just work within the flexibilities. And as I just demonstrated, you don't lose money doing it. You make money doing it. Your organization grows because of it. Well, that is what I have to talk about today. Questions. I love questions. Anybody have any for me? Okay. The guy in the room.
Well, I love what you're offering because the woman who asked the question, how do your male counterparts feel? The fact that a female-led organization, meaning the percentage of people leading, understands that piece where the male-led organizations fail. And so just what you're offering is so powerful. Maybe not so much a question, but what's the founder's background that gave him that perspective to realize how powerful that is? So it's intrinsic versus
Honestly, I think it's just his experience. You know, he led this organization boots on the ground until about 6 years ago. And then he prioritized our sister company more because we were growing and obviously being taken very well care of. And he's just always had the experience that doesn't matter. It's just whoever does the right job, you pay them well, you treat people well, and you grow.
Hire talent, culture first, and
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's so dang common sense. I wish.
Common sense is uncommon though. That's why it's so rare.
He said it. Who's next?
How would you recommend to begin changing the mindset of leadership and executives in a large organization that may not see what your, president of your company sees?
And go back to Larry Favorable. Creating a conversation about mutually beneficial, and when you talk to a dealer principal, at the end of the day, he wants to be profitable. And when you really talk about how the diversification of their staff can be very profitable, that's a great way to start it. But really just giving cues to the answering the rebuttals of, well, it's because of the way our staffing is structured and the times. Remind them that malls salons who are open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. have never had a problem attracting female talent. They've just worked around scheduling. Once again, kind of some of those common sense things. I've had dealership groups say that women have too much drama. And I said, well, do you have any women leading them? So you gotta find strong female leadership to help those individuals.
I'm sorry, let her go first because I've already spoken. Go ahead.
Well, my question is, how do you deal with those red personalities within your organization to avoid the high turnover? How do you deal with those personalities?
This is gonna sound really terrible. There's no place for it. We talk about accountability and our most valuable assets, our people. If you're gonna be a red personality and you're gonna disrupt what we are doing, we're probably not the right organization for you. So we coach people through those moments and we help them see other perspectives. It's amazing how you can temper a red pretty quickly when you just remind them that we're all in this together and you're misinterpreting intent.
Yeah.
So
If the red is upper management, that's a little more difficult then. Okay.
yes.
I would ask you to reinforce what you said about one-on-ones. Somebody that shows up with a blank piece of paper, or I have a workforce development background, and when I would conduct one-on-one with a new employee, if they approached the meeting in that manner, it was, well, I guess we don't have a meeting to read, or a reason to meet today. You're evidently happy and don't want to grow, and
Couldn't agree more.
but you hit that very well. So if there was anything else that you would add to that piece, that particular, even if you have a path to growth, all the other things, if they're not engaged, how do you then prompt that before you realize maybe this person isn't a fit?
Yeah, you can tell when somebody's a fit. They try really hard to pretend to fit, but they're not committed, they're not engaged, and it's pretty obvious.
I have something. So I used to do one-on-ones with my
So
team.
you're cutting me off, or if you had a question.
Yeah.
She's the timer.
I know I have a question. I don't have a question. I just have a little input. So when I used to do one-on-ones with my staff, I required them to bring the materials. Like, you have to come prepared. Like, this is what's expected, and it was all their reporting, holding them accountable. So it was easy. Just like they had to come prepared. It was good stuff. It was, yeah.
You know, one of the things I really want to add is that we have to remember that this isn't a world of just individual contributors anymore. This is a team environment. This is all brand new content. I have never spoken this intimately about our organization before, because this was almost a labor of love of identifying what we did to create this. And you don't see her here, but she's in the corner recording. Heidi is our director of business development and marketing. And she really worked with me to help pull this information out of me. She is outreaching, can you imagine business development with car dealers and how many of the vendor women in this room and vendor men call car guys all day long to build business. She's working her butt off, but she helped make this happen. Mike in our creative department actually helped write everything. It's not about one person doing all of this. It's recognizing that individual contributors who want to take credit for every single thing that happens in the organization, those are the Reds. Those are the people that disrupt the team atmosphere that really bring all of this cohesively together. Yes.
So how long did this take for you to just go from not having this identity as family friendly and progressive to where you are now? Like, was it a couple of years?
Honestly, I think it's probably been about 5 years.
5 years.
I had a child 8 years ago. I worked remotely. I flew back and forth from San Diego to Minneapolis, and when I came back to the building, the anxiety I felt every day when I left my children, and the anxiety I felt driving home to get them every day, changed me. And I started looking at the people in the organization, I went, oh God, they're feeling the same pressure, both men and women. And we just kind of started saying, it's okay, we have lives. So it's just from personal experiences and probably about the last 5 years since I moved back to Minneapolis.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions, concerns? Snide remarks. You know, go ahead.
I have
You have
one-
snide remark?
No. This would not be the room.
Smart man.
I would offer one other perspective from a personal path that I've walked. If you carry all that forward to your employees who go through a grief season, that's the only other part that seems to lack in some organizations, but it fits exactly in with what you're revealing.
I can't agree with you more. Because once again, you lead by example. I lost my mom 6 years ago. I was a hot mess. And I kid myself to think that just working hard every day and bearing my sadness and my sorrow into work and thinking that I was effective and that I was good at what I was doing was terrible. And it took a very wise man that I worked with, who gave me a really nice t-shirt, to kind of pull me out of it and say, knock it off. So we really try to help identify that. Thank you so much. I should call you next time I have a presentation. Thank you so much for joining me.